Hey, what's up, gang? So last night I went to play an Eagle X's online tournament. Fantastic place to get some practice in for whatever you want. It's a very competitive community, and usually they'll have a minimum 4-round to a 5-round locals with around like 30 to 40 people playing in it. The rewards are really good as well, so I recommend going into it. But I decided to take a purple hybrid control list. A bit of background on the deck: I've seen people playing similar lists with like BL Star and stuff, and I thought those had very, I think, unique and ingenuitive ways of making use of the purple hybrid cards that I hadn't thought of. I just didn't think it was very good, so I decided to take my own rendition of the deck, and I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't do very good, mind you. I went 1-1, and then I tied, and then I dropped because of that tie, so I decided to just go take a shower afterwards. I'm still like a little sick, so I decided to get some rest in. However, I think the deck can still be, 1, improved upon, 2, still really good, and 3, I don't think I piloted it very well. So we'll go ahead and go over the deck list, explain the cards, explain the general idea of kind of what's going on, and then we'll show off the game that I won and the game that I lost. So starting off, we got 4 eggs. We've got 4 Mother D Reapers. This is to synergize with the Shoto. Obviously, Mother Shoto is a very strong way of slowing down the game, as well as protecting your security from a lot of like early chip attacks, as well as some decks just can't get over a 15k unaffected blocker. Moving on, we play 0 level 3s in this deck. There are some level 3s that you can play, and we'll go over those real quick. Just like Ukomon and Floodgates. Obviously, Ukomon triggers whenever a card is pushed up, and it's only a 3-cost body. You can usually just hard drop it for 3 on your turn 1, and then next turn promote the Mother D Reaper, hatch another one because of the Ukomon effect, as well as get the search off with the Ukomon, which I think is has its values as well. And then also Floodgates, I think, are just useful in general. Being able to slow down your opponent in any meaningful way is, I think, really solid in the current format. And obviously, you know, we're playing Mother Shoto, so we're trying to slow down our opponent anyways. You know, stopping them from getting that extra memory or being able to play by effect may be useful enough, or even reducing play cost. But nonetheless, starting off, we've got 4 Duskmon. This guy is one of the breads and butter of the deck. If you guys obviously have played against, if you've played at all during this current format, Purple Hybrid, it is, you know, on play when digivolving, you can not digivolve, you can change the color of something, which has utilities in certain matchups, but it's usually not super impactful depending on what your opponent's on. And then it also can digivolve on top of a Koichi for 2, and then a Velgar for 1. Usually won't be digivolving on top of the Velgar, but it can come up. And then when attacking, you can digivolve into one of your Tamers or Digimon, not necessarily this guy, into a level 4 with a hybrid in its traits, with the cost reduced by 1. This allows you to kind of either cheat out into a Velgar on top to get like the mills that you want to get going. We're not going to explain the Velgar as well, just because I'm assuming you guys know how Duskmon and stuff works. We'll only explain how they work in this deck. But you can also digivolve some of your other stuff in the back, which is quite useful. But the main reason we end up playing this guy is because of his inheritable. Being you can play 1 Tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less among them from your trash without playing the cost. This allows you to play out Shotos, it allows you to play out Mats, it allows you to play out your other Tamers like Analog Youth as well if you need more searching. It's just really good for that aspect. Being able to go Koichi for 3 and a Mother D Reaper, and then next turn, you know, change something to your opponent's mill like 2 or 3 cards. If you mill a Shoto with the Duskmon Velgar combo, you can just go right into the Shoto. Essentially setting up a defensive play after doing like a little bit of chip and poke, which is really nice. Up next, we're on 4 of the Velgar, obviously. Same thing, Velgar just lets you're primarily going to be milling your own cards, but if you're against like a slower, more like control-y style of deck and you're not going to be able to like chip them down, obviously, you know, just being able to mill them out feels pretty good as well. And you're going to be capable of doing that. You just won't be doing it as well as the decks that are specifically focused on the mill package, like with the Minervas and like the Deathlingers and whatnot. Next, we've got 4 Loemon. This card is pretty good. It's a good searcher because it's got the Wind Digivolving effect, draw 1, trash 1, so it just allows you to essentially cycle for 2 and try and find the pieces that you're missing. It also has the when attacking effect similar to Duskmon, but this one isn't limited to level 4s. One of your Digimon or Tamers may digivolve into a purple or yellow Digimon card with the hybrid trait in its trash. So you're not limited to level 4s, which is really nice, but you also don't get the reduction. So if you do swing in, you have to try and digivolve into one of your level 5s typically, or into a Kaiser that you have in trash. Unfortunately, you actually can't digivolve into Velgar. with the Loemon effect, because Velgar is looking for Duskmon, and Loemon is in fact not a Duskmon. The Inheritable is also really good. I think it helps you a lot more, again, and lets you kind of keep this card out, I think, against a majority of matchups without feeling too scared for it, because all turns, when the Digimon will leave the battle area other than by your effects, you can play one Tamer card with inherited effects from the Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. And so what this kind of lets you do is, if you have a Koichi underneath here, it lets you kind of just cheat out really quickly, which feels fantastic. Note that it specifies with inherited effects. Unfortunately, if it specifies that. If it didn't specify that, this would be an insane card. It would allow you to cheat out mats really easily. I thought I did for a little bit, so I think in maybe game 1, I end up running it that way. But then I start reading the cards a little bit more closely, and I'm like, oh wait, this actually, this doesn't do what I thought I did at first. If you could play out the mats consistently, though, it would be broken. It would be broken. But even if it can't, that's okay. Next, we've got 2 Kaiser Leo of the new set, and then 2 Kaiser Leo of the old set from BT7. This one giving Retail Raw as well as Retail Inheritable, and then just being able to pop a level 4 or lower, it comes up. And then this one is just a cheap Evo on a level 4 for 1, or on a Tamer for 2, which comparatively this one being an Evo for 4, cutting that in half is really nice. And you need the names for Loe and the Kaiser for what we kind of want to do. Then we've got, onto our level 5s, 4 Rihimon. Rihimon is kind of like the idea of the deck. So, what Rihimon kind of wants to do is essentially, from hand, for 3 memory, you Digivolve on top of one of your Tamers. Typically it'll be a Koichi, but you can also go on top of your other Tamers as well, like your Zoes and whatnot, to kind of get cycle. And then you do that by placing 1 Loe and 1 Kaiser Leo from trash underneath that Tamer, ignoring the Digivolution requirements. Then you can play out a Tamer from your trash, which is also nice. Let's say, like, for example, you're kind of set up, you go Duskmon first to get a mat out of trash. Mat will grab you the Rihi, and then Rihi can go directly on top of that mat for 3. And that's a 5 memory turn, but as long as you have 2 memory, you can immediately do it, because it's 2 memory for the Dusk into Velgar for 0 swing, and then it'll die no matter what happens, unless your opponent bounces it in some way. And then you play out the mat using the Duskmon Inherit, or play out the mat using the Duskmon Inherit, and then you go into the Rihi, adding it back from trash using the mat on play effect. And then when Digivolving, you can play out a Tamer with an inherited effect from your trash without paying the cost, so that'll usually get back the Koichi that you just had die there, which is super nice. And then you may play 1 Tamer card with inherited, my bad. He also has jamming, which is also super good, because if you just go into him for 3, usually if you have a mat on field, you can just go onto the mat for 3 memory, get a check in for 8 jamming, 1 check, it'll usually survive, and then you can go into one of your powerful level 6s. And then the Inheritable comes up a lot as well. It's a 1 attacking, give one of your opponents Digimon minus 4,000 DP, which is super convenient for getting around big bodies, as well as one of the ways that we actually have a more consistent-ish out to cards like Magna X. And then our final level 5 is Jet Sylphie. There are so many ways to kind of go into this card multiple times, which feels good. Getting a larger security stack, as well as, because we play Zoe in the deck, having a larger security stack essentially is a draw in some ways, as well as a defensive pressure. So this feels pretty good. You're going to be able to get it back with the Koichi Inherit, the 4-cost one, pretty consistently. You can go into it from trash to low for 3 memory. You can get it back using the Ancient Garurumon. There's a lot of ways to kind of cycle this card, which feels good. And then we've got our level 6s. 3 Venus. I mean, I kind of want to play this card at 4, just because it's so good. My game 2, in my second round, I ended up losing just because I went into a Central and outed my opponent's Magna X rather than just going into another Venus, and kind of just trying to play for a bit longer game. I think I tried to be too aggressive, as well as too content with like removing bodies and stuff, when I think I should have been a bit more passive and just like set on like a Venus every turn for multiple turns in a row. Instead of just going Venus for 1 turn and then like Central on the next, I could have gone Venus into Venus, which I think feels a lot really good. This card's crazy. This card's obviously insane. This card's the best floodgate in the game for a majority of decks. So And then we've got 2 Sendril. This card's also crazy. It's a check with like a pseudo blitz in a way, as well as it synergizes really well with the Rihimon Inherit. So, you know, let's say we have a Matt on field. We go Rihimon for 3, and then we Evo for 4. We don't want to swing, or we can even swing with it because it's jamming if we're just, you know, ballsy and we got nothing wrong with ourselves. We swing, get a check in, Evo for 4 into Sendril, is suspended. Sendromon will play out the token, and then we'll go ahead and use the overclock to delete the token. The token gives minus 3000 DP on deletion to something. Then the Rihimon will trigger. The Inherit will trigger because we're attacking with the Sendril, giving it a minus 4k to something, and then the Sendril will trigger, giving minus 6000 to something, which feels fantastic. And then we get that token back at the start of our main phase, and we can kind of just keep doing that over and over and over again. So this requires them to either out it really quickly, otherwise we're going to be doing a significant amount of checks to them for the course of the game, as well as just consistent removal. 2 Shadow Seraphi. This card is really good. This card is crazy good, in fact. I really like it a lot. I'm not sure if I value it more than Valkyrie Ace, because obviously you can play Valkyrie Ace in this list as well, and I don't know which one is more valuable to me in the current moment in time. This one is a lot more defensive than Valkyrie Ace, but Valkyrie Ace allows you to put a little bit more pressure on, as well as it deals with wider boards, which I think is what our deck struggles with a little bit more. Like, removing a single body, I don't think it's too difficult, but removing a wider board state, I think is a little bit more. So. And then we've got a Ancient Garurumon. This card is really good, obviously. It was meta for, I think, probably the best deck in the format for a while, pre-nerfs. And then just being able to get it back with the Koichi Inherit, being able to get it back with the, I think primarily it'll just be the Koichi Inherit. I'm not sure, actually. I feel like there's another way to cycle it. And if it does come up with a way to, if I do come up with a way to cycle it more consistently, I will let you guys know. I don't remember if there was one. I mean, like, there's like the hypothetical, obviously, where if you have a Rihimon in play and then a Koichi with 2 memory or a Purple Tamer with 3 memory, you can Digivolve into the Loe, swing with the Loe, and then Digivolve into the Ancient Garurumon from trash, which is something you can do. Obviously, it's a bit more niche. Just the consistent check to your opponent whenever you add cards to hand, which you will be doing no matter what, as well as removal from bouncing your opponent's stuff, as well as the on deletion, being able to get back a hybrid trait Digimon, being like the Rihi or the Duskmon should we need it. Feels really good, or even the Zephyr. And then playing out a Tamer for free as well, being the mats and stuff, feels really good. On to our only level 7, we've got a Ruin mode. I'm considering maybe playing more of this guy. I just don't know. It feels like a lot of decks kind of are able to play underneath a 5k blanket, so you'd really want to go into the like 10k blanket by getting it popped on the same turn, which is a little bit more difficult, and I'm not 100% sure if that's the route to go. But, you know, I did use it in my round 1, and it did kind of just shut my opponent out from being able to play the game effectively, so that felt pretty good. On to the Tamers for Shoto. The cheap memory gain it gets if your opponent has a Digimon in play feels fantastic, as well as just giving your Mother Dew Reaper or even some of your just like big megas or the Shine Greymon Ruin Mode blocker feels great. Not much to say about Shoto, he's just a really good card for what we're trying to do. And then for Matt, being a memory setter helps out a lot, because a lot of our plays require 2 to 3 memory, so this guy is just a Rihimon on a stick basically, which feels fantastic. And then just being able to get back your cards from trash pretty consistently is also really good. Playing 3 Koichi. Because of the way the Lowemon works, you actually don't get the deletion of the Koichi, which feels pretty bad. So I kind of want to trade him out, the ratios here, because I'm also playing 2 of, not this guy, LOL, this guy. There we go. 2 of the 4-cost Koichi. And so maybe like trading the ratios out, making this like 3 and 2. It just really hurts because this one is a cycler, which is something that the deck really cares about. Is setting up the trash as well as finding cards in hand. So having a Koichi early on as just like your turn 1 play feels really nice. And then this Koichi with the Inherit to add something back from trash allows you to kind of just get back the Dusk that you're going to be cycling, or get back the Rihi that you're going to be cycling. This card by itself, by the way, is the Rihi loop raw. All you need is a way to gain a memory and this guy, and you're good from your opponent putting you to 1. Because the idea is essentially, your opponent puts you to 1, let's say you have a Shoto out, which you typically will at this point in the game. Gain a memory, this guy pitch a card, gain a memory, Digivolve into Rihi for 3, promote, swing with the Rihi, grab back a Rihi from trash, and now the loop is completely established. You will always be able to get this guy back as long as the only thing that stops the loop is if you're like source stripped. Because even bouncing you, the Loemon will just play back out the Koichi, and then next turn you just do it again, which feels fantastic. And then finally, we've got 2 Analog Youths as our second to last tamer. This card is for searching, obviously, setting up our trash. Obviously, it lets us hatch our other D-Reapers and get them out sooner, which feels good. As well as you can gain some memory if your opponent ends up outing like your Central, your Venuses, or like your Ruin Pops itself, which feels good as well. He's mainly just here for the searching and for the setting up of our trash. Like if this mills like a Koichi or like a Matt, we're like really happy about it because we can just get them back from trash as long as we were somewhat set up. And then I believe our final tamer being the Zoe Orimoto. Again, like this card is just good because it lets you search your security. Being able to look at another like five cards, like find the final pieces that you're missing for your Rihi stack or for your Dusk and Velger is really good. As well as the Inheritable kind of comes up sometimes. It can kind of like interact weirdly should your opponent be like a Magnet X with 12k and this guy's out. Let's say just like a low or something, or even like it's a Venus. Your opponent swings in with the Magnet X at 12k. It gets the effect to restand and gain 3k security, but it checked into a Venus, which is also 15k, so it actually ends up dying and has to Armor Purge out, which comes up sometimes. Being able to replay it multiple times as well throughout the game feels pretty good. So. And then finally, we got 2 sets of options. We've got 2 Jack Raid and 2 Amber Memory Boost. Whew, there's a lot to say about the options and a lot to say about a lot of the slots in this deck because there's a lot of ways that I can see it kind of going in the future. I just don't know which ones are optimal. So the Jack Raids are really interesting because they do get you that little bit of extra memory, which sometimes the deck can be struggling for. And it can also be hit in security, which is a way to like save ourselves, which is really good. The problem is that we're not really like a combo variant. So setting up our trash super quickly is a little difficult, as well as you're never really going to be wanting to add back with the mat effect into the Jack Raid because of how valuable Rihimons are to us. So I've considered other potential cards like Yellow Scramble to get back our powerful Megas, but we're not playing any yellow rookies, which is where it's like, oh, instead of like purple based rookie floodgates, we actually play yellow based floodgates, and we would play out the scrambles just raw for 2 memory, and then we would get back the like a Venus or like a Ruin or something of that nature, and then go into a floodgate rookie on the field, which could be super nice, and I'm not sure how I feel about it at the current moment in time. And then over here, we've got the Amber Memory Boosts from the new LM set. You can meet the requirements with the purple. Obviously, you will have purple or yellow pretty consistently. So it will be online a majority of the time. All it requires you to do is, it's not a turn 1 play. You have to do it after you set up a tamer of some kind, aside from Shoto and Analog. But once you do that, you can just reveal top 3 and then add a purple or yellow Digimon from there to their hand, which is really good for searching out pretty much any of our pieces. I've also thought about doing trainings here as a way of like going into low A for 2 and then training going like Rihi for 1 or Duskmon for 2 into Rihi for 1 or Duskmon low A for 3 and then Rihi for 1. I'm just not sure what training I would play because obviously the cards that we're going to be wanting to Digivolve into past a certain point are going to be yellow. So it's like, oh, we'd want yellow trainings, but also the ones that we want to find the most of typically are going to be, I believe, our purple cards. So that feels a little weird as well. It feels like the deck is just either missing something or some of the ratios just feel a little bit wonky. I feel like it's close to being something really powerful though. I'm not sure the direction it needs to go in order to be powerful, because it seems like a very powerful control deck. Like being able to loop Rihi multiple times to get a free check-in and then get a powerful level 6 that is usually game warping. So being the Venusmon that will just shut out your opponent completely, which is what happened in round 1 that essentially won me the game. As well as like Shadow Seraphimon being like a consistent ace target that you're able to go into. It feels really good. Valkyrie Ace is another great option as well. It feels like there's an engine here, similar to the Dark Masters engine that you guys have seen on my channel before. I'm just not sure the direction I need to take it yet to fully be, I think, a wholly comprehensive engine. But that aside, now that you guys know a little bit about what's going on, a little about the combos and stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the gameplay. So here we are playing against, I think, one of the best decks in the format, Red Hybrid. I'm just gonna give some commentary over this game. The next game, hopefully I can just use my live footage. I can't use my live footage here because of the fact that I had no sound for this one, unfortunately. So, you know, instead of just you guys sitting here listening to my opponent talk to me and then me not respond at all, we're gonna go from here. Let's go ahead and adjust the speed real quick. Put it on 2 times, and then if the Twitch player will work appropriately. Great. He starts off with the 5-cost Tamer, and then no Rookie in the back. And then we go ahead and respond with the Matt and Shoto, as well as a Hatch. So a pretty good start from my side. My opponent, unfortunately, missing their Rookie drop feels really bad. If the Twitch player is continuing to be pausy for some reason, we will, in fact, be going back. My opponent just goes ahead and plays out the Takuya and then passes it back. We go ahead and Koichi for 3, go to 0, draw 1, pitch 1. We'll go ahead and pitch what looks like Duskmon, which is a bit of an interesting pitch. And then we'll go ahead and Amber, pick up the Rihi, and then bottom the rest. And then he gains a memory off the Takuya because I have Digimon. He's going to analog for 2. This should hit him a Rookie. Now you guys can see what he's actually on and see that, yeah, he did brick a little bit for his game 1, which was bad. Especially when he's supposed to be pressuring me so fast and so quickly. Goes into the Burning Gray in the back. He will Hatch, go to 3. He has no Digimon, so we don't get a memory off the Shoto. I think we're just trying to decide what to do, as well as the glare should be gone at game 2 as well. I just suffer in the dark for a little bit by myself. We'll go into Digivolve for 3 into Lowe. So this is actually the game where I believed the Inherit works the way I told you guys I thought I did with the playing out Tamer, but it actually plays out a Digimon. When a Digimon will leave the battlefield, you may play 1 Tamer card with inherited effects from the Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. So, but anyways, we do just Digivolve for 3, and then past turn we don't get to play anything out. We're kind of just sitting there with bodies. Or did we play out the Koichi? Was there a Koichi to play out? Maybe there was a Koichi to play out. I'm not sure. No, it was the Zoe that we looked through. It was the Zoe. Gotcha. Makes sense. All right, my apologies. I wasn't locked in. I was looking at the card physically. Go ahead and activate his Tamer effect to just put some sources underneath. I think that Tamer is insanely strong, by the way. He'll attack, but he won't use the effect. Is something that we're gonna probably just let slide. He's gonna hit the Mat. We're gonna add back the Dusk. We may have found a Velgert or something to make use of, so. And he's suffering because he doesn't really have a great play whatsoever, so. And he has to leave for a little bit of time, which happens to my next round opponent as well, funnily enough. He's got 4 memory to work with. He goes ahead and goes into another Burning Gray here. Play out a Flame for 4. I don't even know what that Flame 1 does, if I'm honest with you guys. It uses the end of turn effect of the Tamer to swing in with the Burning Gray. Burning Gray will raid into the Mother, and then the Digivolve into the Iguni with the when attacking effect, and the Iguni will Digivolve into the Ancient Gray here. And that will be over the Mother, but he doesn't have Piercing in the Inherits, so we are able to get away with actually no checks to our security there, leaving us on 4 security, which feels pretty good. We'll go ahead and promote the Koji, go into a Lowe for 2, draw 1, and then pitch 1. Obviously, I believe we're looking for Velgers in trash, or getting out another Koichi in trash means that a Rihi will be able to play it out, which feels pretty good. I think we're also trying. We're trying to figure out what exactly is going to happen if we, kill his stuff and whatnot. Honestly, Venus feels pretty good here to an extent. Obviously, we'll get some checks in with the Ancient, but assuming he doesn't have another one of the bigger ones, we're probably pretty fine. We go into the Kaiser here, and because we have a Tamer or Hybrid in its traits against Retail, so we'll go ahead and swing directly into the Ancient, which feels pretty good. And then the Ancient will let him play out a Hybrid. Great. And then the low A should have triggered, and we should have got our Koichi back, but we just missed that, so that's on us. And then we'll swing Rihi over the Suspended Burning Gray. We'll go Amber for 2, go to 4. And then we'll activate Rihimon after setting up our trash pretty nicely, and then we'll get back out the 3-cost Koichi that should have been out already. So we should have had 2 Tamers here instead of just 1, but that's on me for not remembering properly. Again, this is my first time actually piloting the deck, like physically. I've tested it a little bit on simulators, but it's fine. We'll go ahead and swing at the Rihi, get a check-in, go into the Ancient, bounce the Rookie, and then bounce a Security, putting him on 3, which is pretty good. He's got 4. He's gonna be able to start doing some amount of checks to me, but obviously with the Mother up, we feel pretty insulated from a lot of what our opponent kind of wants to do. He just digivolves in the back a little bit. Oh, the player, please. Anyways, digivolves in the back, trying to set up a little bit. Gosh. Alright, if I was to complain about anything, it'd be the Twitch player right now. This Twitch player is actually dog. Oh, you wanna know what it probably is? It's because we're in the red zones here. We'll come back. Alright, gang, I had to go download the Twitch VOD, which took me like an hour because Twitch is bad in every aspect, apparently, which is okay. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to... We do have a way to increase the speed, thank God. Okay, anyways, back to it. He goes into the Agunimon there. He's probably just going to get Warp immediately, and you can see the promo actually from Trash, which is the super coolest thing about this whole deck, by the way, is the fact that he can Evo for 1 less there. And so he ends up popping the level 5, which I think is probably the correct play, realistically. Just because I can always start an ace, so being able to consistently remove the level 5 is like really important. Which is why ending on 2 Rihis for 6 memory is really strong as well. He swings into the Guru, no piercing. And from here I have to kind of decide what I want. The Guru will grab back the Rihi and a Tamer probably. So this is where I play out the mat when I shouldn't have, just to clarify. That mat is illegal, and that mat gets me something back, and then the Guru will resolve with the... Or did the mat even get me anything back? I don't think I added back with the... I didn't add back to the mat. I'm not even sure if I added back with the Guru. I think the Guru ad was the one that I just added back there, and I think I forgot the mat ad, which is crazy. But we do get the Koichi out for free. So technically, we should have 1 Tamer out more, but we also shouldn't have that mat out, so it kind of equalizes, you know? My cheating has equalized my misplay. Anyways, so we ended up crashing into the Guru there, just because he wants to get it off field, because it was going to get another check for sure. It was going to get 2 checks there and really threaten. He's going to go ahead and go into the Raid 16 DP piercing 1 check. He had a Shota, which is pretty good. Being able to get an extra memory, I think, is going to be really nice. We're trying to adjust our field because we have so many fucking Tamers now. He'll pop I think the memory boost? I'm not sure. But he'll gain 2 memory off of it. And he's set up pretty nicely right now, honestly. He's at 6 memory right now, which is really good for him. Oh, actually, am I at 6 memory? I'm at 6 memory, I think. Yeah, I'm at 6 memory. Sorry, I was reading that wrong. So I decided to go into Dustmon for 2 and start trying to set up a way to wipe his board, prevent him from killing me, and just be kind of crazy. And Dustmon, go into Velgar. We changed the level 4 here into purple, and we'll mill 4. Which is like fine. We got 5 mills as well, nothing too crazy. Let's do a quick check at 15. Here I am trying to do the fucking math because I'm like, I don't know how math works. do a check, and then we will go ahead and pop the Gigas to pop the Alda. And this leaves the Velgar on field, so I can Evo on top of it, which isn't too bad. And then if I recall correctly, Velgar's Inherit is really interesting. It is Retaliation as well. So it just makes it so that way at the level 6 that we go into, or the Rihimon we go into, is also pretty much insulated, very similar to the Kaiser Leo from the new set. We'll go into a Zephyr for 1, which is, just to clarify, I can't remember if it's this turn or the other turn. Okay, so it is this one. All right, there's a point where I go into Zephyr, and it's definitely not allowed, but it's fine. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a turn where I go into Zephyr for 1 memory when it should have been 3. Luckily, it's caught by us. Shout out to my friend in the chat, or in the call, I mean, Michael. But we end up going into a Venus for 4. Essentially just stopping everything that he wants to do, like no one attacking effect to Warp Evo. He can't get any of his when digivolving effects as well, so he has to like hard Evo up into the Ancient, and even then he's not getting what he wants out of it, which feels really bad. He cracks the memory boost, goes to 5. And yeah, Venus is just such a house against decks like this, where it's just like, okay, well, we're not going to do anything this turn, so just keep that in mind, I guess. Search off, he goes to Analog, go to 0. It's the Ancient Gray. Let me double check that. Was that the Analog or was that the Flamemon? Yeah, that was the Analog Youth. And then he put Crimson Mode back on, so I think he thought it was a Flamemon effect. Or something of that nature. But yeah, he should have trashed those cards, which is fine. Again, you know, we're just out here cheating. We're all cheating, and it doesn't even matter. Alright, it doesn't even matter, we're just all cheating. He goes and pops the 2-cost option to play out the Ancient for 2 costs by digicrossing it, popping the Venus with the on-play effect. The Velgar still being up is just a free check, and then we can just attempt to kill here. Or I know we have another Venus in hand as well. We can just kind of go into Venus and chill again, and there's not much he can do. We'll go ahead and check in with the Velgar, see if it dies. We'll add back the Ancient Garurumon using the Inherit effect of Koichi. It will die. Oh, actually no, it doesn't die in the secure check. We do the end of attack effect. We'll go ahead and play out a Koichi, and then get the Duskmon for 2 into another Koichi. We can just kind of swing in for another check and just start threatening to kill him, which is good. We end up changing the Ancient Gray into something else because we don't want him to go into Crimson, because we obviously saw that he could have potentially gone it. We end up not using the Velgar effect, or the Duskmon to go into Velgar, and then we'll just go into another Duskmon, this time for 3, and then we'll just swing in for game. We're just kind of thinking like if there's anything he can do, and I don't think there is, so we just kind of go in for game. We're really trying to avoid giving him yellow or red, just because those are the only 2 that I think he could realistically running, the Shrine Greymon burst mode ace, and obviously the Crimson mode ace. So we decide to go into our game 2 here. My opponent, I believe, will go first, but we'll double check. So I went second both games now. He hits the rookie this time, goes into a Flame, and then Evos into Gigas in the back for 3. We'll just hatch, go into a Kaiser for 6. The hand wasn't looking fantastic. He swings into security with the Gigas, obviously because we play a fucking insane amount of Tamers though. He does end up hitting a Tamer. We'll go and pitch a Velgar. They're getting a draw. And he digicrosses for 6, putting me 3, popping the Kaiser. Which would have been devastating had he not hit a Koichi in the back. Just going straight into a Dusk feels fantastic. We will adjust, I can't remember which color we end up changing. It's either the Ancient Grays or it's the Gigas. I think we end up doing Gigas, because if he wants to do a Crimson now, we're fine. Actually, yeah, we end up doing the Gigas. We end up making the Gigas purple. Swing in. Go ahead and pop the Gigas, and then pop the Ancient. And he'll add back the Flamemon. And then, does he have a Tamer to play out? He does not. In fact, we'll just go ahead and Shadow for 3. And put him to 2 after giving this Mother D-Reaper blocker. Evo in the back to the guy, and then play out a Goonie for 3. Not the Goonie, the Takuya for 3, which feels really bad that he got it immediately afterwards, but it's typically how the cookie crumbles. We'll go ahead and swing in. We'll go ahead and pop itself just because we want to get Tamer out. We'll go ahead and get the Mat out, which feels really good. And the Mat will give me back the Dusk, and so now we're in a pretty solid state. Opponent's at 3 security. We have 2 Tamer set up. We have a really good defensive lineup. We'll just go ahead and Digivolve for 2 into the Dusk, or 3 into the Dusk, my apologies. And then I think this is probably because we want to go into a Rihi play. Yeah, we'll go ahead and go into Rihi for 3, play out a Koichi. Koichi will draw 1, trash 1. And here the reason we're doing this is because it sets up a pretty safe ace, where if he pops it, fine, we just get the Mat back with the Ancient, and then if he goes into that Ancient, I think we'll take the least amount of damage, but we'll find out. He's an item from Takuya. And we'll kind of see what he gets to do. There are ways for him to play it that are really good, but you will see. Having blocker on the Mother also feels really good because he has to get some amount of DP. He swings and he does not activate the effect. We just go ahead and block with the Mother. And he gets out the 5-cost Takuya because of that. If he leaves the Rihi up, that's just a free check for us. That feels really good. He goes into a Goonie adds back the Burning Gray. Goes into Burning Gray for 1. Swings it to the Mother, goes into a Goonie for free, and then goes into Ancient here. And that'll be 4 checks, which is a good chunk of our security as well as piercing. So remove all our security, kill the Mother as well. Pretty good, pretty good. Unfortunately, we do have a Shadow Seraphi here. And Shadow Seraphi does, in fact, just destroy him completely. And there's not much he can do anymore. And so he swings into the Mother, as said before, dies into the Mother body. Just feels really bad for him. He's in a pretty rough state now. Obviously, we're not threatening lethal at the moment, so we'll just get a check-in with the Shadow Seraphi, see if it dies. If it does, we'll just pass back and be okay with it. It doesn't, so now we have to try and figure out what we want to do to pass turn. So we're just going to go ahead and Analog Youth, see if we can find anything, take the Dusk, because that feels pretty good. And then we go into the Ruin for 5. Put him to 4, draw, Shoto will go ahead and give blocker again. So now this makes it a little bit difficult, because he can't obviously do the Wombo combo with the Agunis, because they will be a little bit too small, so we have to find some way to get them some DP. I don't believe he actually has the best inherits right now for that, but we'll see. He sets up pretty nicely. Both of his Tamers have a lot of inheritables that are going to be able to make use of. The one on the right, I believe, has the most DP. I think it has plus 4k on your turn. And he's just trying to figure out a way to kind of set up without giving up. I am still actually not threatening lethal next turn unless I go into Centralmon, which I could. I can go Rihi for 3, swing in the Rihi, swing in with the Ruin, and depending on how much memory he ends up giving me, I can maybe keep turn and then go into Central, winning me the game there. But that just means he has to give me less memory. So he plays this out with the option, and then Digicrosses 1 for 5. And then he doesn't have enough DP to actually pop the Ruin mode because of the Ruin mode effect, funnily enough. And so here, like, you can, like, swing in with the Ruin mode, but, you know, assuming that something happens, I'm a little afraid. We saw the Crimson mode before, so I'm just trying to find the right way to play around it. So we do end up evoing the Koichi for 2 into Dusk. And then here we could insulate ourselves from the guy by itself using the Duskmon effect to change the color of the Ancient Gray. I think I elect not to do that. Yeah, I elect to change the Tamer in the back to get a little bit extra mills, saying like, hey, if you end up going into the Crimson mode, it is going to die almost no matter what, because it'll either die to the Belger effect unless I hit something crazy in security, or it'll die to the Ruin mode when attacking effect, or end of attack effect. So Belger will let us mill 4 each, putting me to 15, so both are now 15k. He can only delete 1 if he goes into the Ruin. Alright. He does Blast Evo though, nonetheless, into the guy, popping the Ruin, which will let him overflow for 4. And then we'll go ahead and activate our on deletions. Give minus 5k to his board again until the end of the turn, and then we'll go ahead and grab back at Dusk. Using the mat on play. And then the Belger will go ahead and pop itself to pop the guy, and then we'll overflow 5 back towards us, gaining us net 1 memory. And we'll go ahead and play out the Koichi again. And from here, I mean, he's got 1 security, we got 2 purple tamers set up, we have a way to gain some amount of memory at minimum 3, which feels pretty good. So honestly, either just setting up another Koichi or just going right into a Dusk again, changing the other tamer to a different color, preventing him from using Gigas and stuff, going into the Jack Raid, going into the Rihi, and then, wow, if we just go into Venus here, it's actually devastating. Play out the yellow tamer that searches security, grab a Loe from there, which feels pretty good. I think we've been missing Loe for a while, so having that finally feels great. And then just ending on a Venus. Whew, Venus effect and Ruin mode 5k minus is devastating. It would die because he just promote. I do let him take it back though, because I'm like, it's fine. Like, I'm in such a oppressive position right now that I feel like you getting back your rookie doesn't matter too much, because he has to out this Venus without digivolving, without one attacking, and with a minus 5k blanket to the board. So even hard playing out a guy won't do it, because I think he'll be 1k under if he uses the plus 2k VP. Here I'm just adjusting my camera angle a little bit. I'm going to fast forward a little bit, because I think this game is about done. And yeah, my opponent does end up conceding. Going into a Venus blanket with the Ruin mode feels really rough to deal with. Obviously though, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here while we adjust for the next game. Slower deck. It's a slower deck. We're not killing really quickly, but we're so good at controlling what our opponent's wanting to do. Because even though they were very aggressive, like obviously game 1 they bricked, so we were able to set up without too much worry. And then game 2, we did hit a Koichi insecurity, but we are playing an obscene amount of tamers. Any tamer hit there was really nice. Even like a Shoto, even though it wouldn't have gotten us the search and stuff, and wouldn't have been able to digivolve on top of, we would have at least been able to get a Shoto out for some extra memory, as well as getting a Shoto out for setting up the blocker more consistently on the mother. But we'll go into the game 2. Alright, here we go. Starting, we're playing against Pyldra, and our hand, we ended up keeping a pretty mediocre hand, unfortunately. We just chose to do it because we wanted to limit test here. We ended up keeping the Kaiser and just hard playing it for 6, putting my opponent 6 on turn 1. We're no strangers to putting our opponent 6 on turn 1 though, because we are a Dark Masters player. We love that shit. And we will probably fast forward every once in a while. So he ends up digivolving the back into XV and setting up a guy, putting us to 1. We end up going into Loe for 1 to start setting up a little bit more. We're just searching. And then we swing in 1 check at 5. And then we hit the memory setter, which is a little annoying, but not too devastating. And here we see they're actually on the Magna variant, which is, I'm not sure if it's more annoying or not than the traditional Pyldra variant with like the Dragon mode and stuff. And then Shoto, just for 3, give it a blocker. This is I think the main reason we end up keeping the hand, because I'm used to Dark Masters where it's like, if you see Shoto, you're good to just keep it. And I'm not sure if that's actually the move in this matchup for us, like it is for Dark Masters. Ends up promoting, activates the Kenan Davis to get a search. It's the Kenan Davis. I'm gonna turn this down because it's a little loud for me. You guys can't hear it, it's just the music's a little loud, as well as the mics are a little loud for me. He goes to Elijah for 2, and then he will be able to DNA using I don't think it's the end of turn. Oh, actually, it would not have been. Yeah, he was at 2 memory already. Or he's at 1 memory, gains a memory from the XV, and then gains a memory from the Kennen Davis. And then tripping the source feels really bad, and he ends up bottom decking our Shoto, which also feels really bad. Obviously, Shoto doesn't really help too much against Hexablow Ra, but it's fine. We go into our Zoe for 3, and then we can go and add a Jet Sylphie to hand. This is the game where I end up doing the cheaper memory, and it doesn't actually work. I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit here, 5 seconds. He ends up not using the Kennen Davis, and then ends up hitting the mat. Oh, and he doesn't draw because he doesn't have his Dream Digimon on in play. Matt will add back the Dusk, I believe. I can't think of any other reason not to add back anything else, honestly. The Dusk is just really good for us in this exact instance, I believe. I think, honestly, we would have wished it was the low A, but it's fine. 2 checks for security, we're not 3 security. I know you guys can't see it, just the way the angle is, you know. Be in stream, I don't know, it's a bit easier. I don't know what to say. Promote, unspend the low A, because now I can unsuspend. We'll Digivolve for 1 here, which we then find out that we can't. It's actually for 3, which is fine. We actually didn't mind too much. So we're just gonna catch that, go to 0 now. Going to recover. And they'll play out Koichi for 4. So this ends up giving my opponent 1 more memory than I would have liked, but again, it's fine. It didn't really change the play. We didn't have like anything we wanted to do. We're just kind of setting up a potential ace. Sure, our opponent tried to do anything. Wormmon, we'll go ahead and add, I believe, the Magna. Oh, just the Davis and the Wormmon, actually. And then Kennen Davis ends up playing the same Wormmon, and he gets the No, ends up getting the Magna. For 2, he's at 0 now. We're pretty sad about the current state of affairs. Like, obviously, not having no Shoto for blocker feels really bad. And then even with the Shadow Seraphi, like, the blocker does not save us either. So, our Jet Sylphie can't attack. Then he goes right into Magna for 2. Ends up suspending the Jet Sylphie using the Wormmon on Harriet, which is devastating. Because now we can't pop the Wormmon as well. Blast into the Shadow Seraphi, the Digivolve the guy 3 times, and then 1 check. And then so Magna's not 15k. He can't kill me though this turn. I don't believe. Unless he does like swing into the Shadow Seraphi, gain some amount of memory, get out a rookie for 3. He's at 1 right now, I believe. So he'll go to 5, play out a rookie, Digivolve for 2, Digivolve for 2, end of turn, gain 2 memory, go back to 0, Pyldra, swing, unsuspend the Magna, swing, game. But he ends up not having that, I believe. And then he swings into my last check with the Analog Youth. Or, not my last check, my second to last check, my apologies. I think he's trying to decide whether he wants to go into the Shadow Seraphi or go into the Security, but yeah. This game 1 took very long. I think we had 5 or like 10 minutes for our game 2. And he ends up using the Heaven's Judgment, which I was very surprised about. I assumed he would just swing in, but I guess he valued the block a lot. And so we'll end up going to 3 from the mat, gain a memory off the Shoto, gain a memory off of the Koichi. I'm here counting the colors, trying to figure out how big I need to get. And I find that I can only get to 17,000 using a Duskmon and a Velgar. And here I actually misplay. I end up targeting the Worm to make it purple. I should have actually targeted the Davis in the back, making it purple. And then I could target the another Davis and Ken, making that a red tamer. So that way I could actually beat over the Magda. Unfortunately, I end up doing it to the Wormmon. And this is actually the point in the game where I need to start looking at at my opponent's deck. Because of they have Magna X out, I'm actually milling an insane amount. So instead of adding back the Jet Sylphie, we could either add back the Dusk or a Velgar. And the reason we would have added back one of those two is because of the fact that we would have been able to mill another 5 cards by just hard playing it out, which would have been 15 mills this turn, which would have been gross. And that's why we should have made it the other guy red, because I've been an extra 3 mills on top of that, making it a total of 16, 17, 18 mills this turn, which I think was lethal looking at the size of his deck, but maybe not. Again, I'm not a great pilot for this deck yet. Something I need to think about a little bit more. We should play out the Shoto, just get a little bit extra blocker. And then we go into Rihi for 3. We're at 0 now. Let me go and put out the Koichi. And we get the jamming check-in. He goes into Magna effect. And then we did roll for 4 into the Venus. Did I play the Shoto out with the Rihi? Am I just a little cheater? No, okay, I'm not. Okay. I was like, did I cheat? No. I played the Koichi out with the Rihi. So we end up going into a Venus, which is absolutely devastating against Magna X, just because it stops them from actually activating their effect, because they can't activate when digitalizing effects, which is really powerful. And we set it up so that way we have 2 15k blockers. He can't actually get any bigger, and we're in a really good spot. My opponent's, again, running low on cards, but I'm not thinking about the mill aspect of the deck right now. I'm making a big misplay by not considering what's going on, because now we're forcing our opponent to draw even more cards. And so we're setting up a really scary situation for them. He ends up using one of the Ken Davises to play out Avimon, and then no other rookie for the other Ken Davis. Let me read something about Central. Can Central attack suspended Digimon, or does it have to attack player using the overclock effect? In your turn, by deleting this rule, this Digimon may attack a player without suspending. So attack a player. Unfortunate. Oh yeah, his deck is so small. I could have won off a mill that turn, and he can't kill me this turn, which feels good as well. So I could actually win off a mill again on the crackback, but I'm just not looking towards it, unfortunately. He ends up DNAing at 1 memory into a Pyldra, gaining 2 memory off of the Ken Davis, going to 3. The Venus is able to suspend, funnily enough, which is really nice. But losing all of the inheriteds feels really bad. And he counts his deck. I could have potentially, let's see how much he counts it up. We had 8 cards. He's drawn 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, I believe. So that would have put him at 12, and we would have milled an extra 3, 5. So if we did the correct color coordination by changing one of the guys to purple, milling 5, and then changing another one of the Tamers to red, milling 6, and then 6, that was in fact enough to kill him, because that would have been exactly how many cards he had left in deck. And then Ken Davis put me to 3. So here we can go to 6. We activate the Koichi. I actually think this is also a misplay here, if I recall correctly. There are so many things I did wrong here, just to clarify. There are so many things I fucked up. We ended up pitching the Dusk. I believe I should have I should have pitched a Velgar here, but I'm not 100% certain if this was actually the moment where I think I messed up or not. Goes into a Rihi for 3. And this is a misplay, because of how greedy I am. So we do the Koichi, draw a discard. So here's where I end up misplaying. I'm really valuing removing the Magna, which is fair. It's a 12k blocker that becomes unaffected. Really annoying to deal with. Really, really frustrating to deal with. And it doesn't have partition either. So we're actually in a really good spot for attempting to remove it. I feel very safe behind these 2 Shadow blockers. But my opponent is going to gain 3 memory on top of starting at 3. So you have 6 memory, not including the free rookies you're going to get out, if any at all, plus the Veemon in the back that also gains a memory. Meaning that even if they go promote, swing with the Pyldramon, gets blocked and killed. Swing with the Veemon, gets blocked and killed. Swing with the other Veemon, win the game. I just throw this game for no reason in particular, because I'm so tunnel visioned on getting rid of this Magna X, when realistically I have so many options for me, including a mill out. I can just mill my opponent right now, because they do have 1, 2, 3, yellow, blue, black, green, 4 colors. They have 8 cards in deck. If I didn't pitch that Velgar, I could just go Duskmon, swing, Duskmon, change this Magna into something that isn't blue or green. So, change it into yellow. Mill 3 cards. Digivolve for 1 into Velgar. Mill 3 cards. And then Digivolve the other Koichi that I just Digivolved for 2. Changing this guy in the back. And then he should be at 7 cards right now, I believe. Killing him. Unfortunately, my opponent does have to leave in this critical moment, and I am just so locked in on this Central, so I don't even think anymore. I'm just starting memeing around with people in my chat and people in the back. So we're just gonna go ahead and about like 4 or 5 minutes go by, we get the Central back out. And so here's how we get rid of the Magna, which is nice. So we give -3, -4, and a -6, putting it -13,000. And here's where like maybe like the Shangri-Man Ruin Mud Blast Ace would come into use. because I would have been insulated in some sense, but we also ended up going into an analog youth, which was a mistake, because if we didn't do it in the analog youth, we actually could have kept turn, going to 0, and then go into a ruin mode here, which would have completely saved my ass. But I end up not doing that. I end up not doing that, which is devastating. Oh, my bad, we didn't get the analog youth out, we got the Amber Memory out, which is what we ended up playing for 3. It did go through my mind, I was like, what if it dies in security? We can keep turn with the analog and then chill. But this is just a hop, skip, and a jump for lethal. My opponent ends up taking a very long turn for something that is guaranteed lethal in almost every sense of the word. So we're just going to go ahead and fast forward. Just going to go ahead and keep tabs on the time, see how long it actually takes for me to die. So it was about like 15:25 is when it started, maybe 15:20. I should have scooped so long ago. Okay. Yeah. So, unfortunately, to waste an insane amount of time on this game. I believe I end up going first. And I'm very frazzled. I end up scooping, not skipping, I end up putting my hand in the opposite way. So I had to undo all of that as well. We start with the analog youth for 2. And we end up going first. I'm just gonna speed through this because there's not actually, I don't think there's much to say about the game too. I think I just end up getting killed in time, which is unfortunate. Puts me to 2 with the Kennen Davis. We go Koichi for 1. Draw and pitch. We end up pitching a Belger. Use the Kennen Davis. Add Wormmon, or play out Wormmon. Wormmon Digivolve for 2 into Togemogu. Digivolve into Kennen Davis for, not Kennen Davis, into the Stingmon for 2. Gain a memory off the Sting. I think you should gain a memory off the Vmon too, but maybe not. And then he gains a memory from the Kennen Davis, go to 0. 1 check into Rihimon, 8k. No jamming though, so it is 10k, so it's realistically not going to die, but he ends up just going into Hex for 4. Bottom deck into Koichi, which really hurts. And we just play out another Koichi for 3. Draw 1, trash 1. Pitching the Kaiser. Digivolve for 3 into Velgar, and then we'll just mill 2 cards. We are in a bit of a rough spot here. Somehow game 1 felt more close to me than game 2 did, but I think it's also because of the time aspect that's really making me sweat a lot here. Hexablood, 2 checks. 12k, 15k. And it dies, which is really good. And now he plays out Davis, puts us to 2. Adds the Hex. Play out Shoto for 3, put him to 1. He'll go to his 3. He has a Hex in hand, but he has like to have the whole line, and I was like, he probably doesn't have it based on the fact that he didn't activate Kennen Davis last turn. So we'll see. I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. 20, 25, 30. Digivolve for 2, Digivolve for 2, DNA into Pyldramon, and unfortunately we did just go into overtime. He strips the source though, which is annoying but not devastating, and now we're at 2. We'll go into Shoto. Instead of Shoto, we'll go to 3, I mean. Digivolve for 3 into Rihi, draw, Rihi effect. We'll go ahead and draw and pitch. pitching Loe, and then we Digivolve for 4 into Venus. And give blocker to Mother D Reaper. No Digivolving effects, but we are in time now. That was round 1. There's no realistical way that I can kill him, and so it is basically over. He ends up just having judgmenting this situation. We activate the analog, gain a memory, promote the unspend, gain a memory off Shoto, Digivolve into Dusk here. Change the Davis to purple, and now we've just got 17k. It is currently bigger than the Magna. Yeah. He was asking if he was still under the Venus effect. Venus would be insane if it lasted that long. We'll grab back the Matt will grab back the Rihi, and then we'll grab a Low and a Kaiser. And then we'll Digivolve for 3, go to 0 into Rihi. And this is what I should have done during the last game. I could have just gone straight into a Venus. Like so. And kind of just put him on, sorry, no Digivolving again. No anything again, King. But again, I was very tunneled. I had so many ways to win that game, and I just biffed it. And my mental, I think, is at this point wrecked for the night. And so I decide after the next game ties, I just go get a shower. But rewatching it back, I see there's actually a lot of ways for me to win, where it felt like a very unwinnable matchup, or it just felt like, this deck is kind of betraying me. There were so many ways for me to actually come back in that game and be in a good position. And this is time in overtime here, and I'm trying to figure out if there was a way for me to out his stack. And I end up just kind of giving up on even attempting to figure out if I could out it or not. So, yeah. Nonetheless, though, this, I think, is a deck that I think is really cool. And rewatching those games, I think, has made me realize, like, oh, actually, this deck is crazy. This deck is crazy. I definitely could have won that Pyldramon deck game if I had just played a little bit differently. And who knows what could have happened in game 2 from there, because I was in a really good position, in my opinion, at least, just watching it back, because I had Venus 1 out on field, which is really good. Stopped him from being immune, and then depending on what I had in hand, maybe I could have even mounted out of the Magna or gone to another Venus again, should the cards be willing. Crazy times, crazy times, crazy times. I definitely kind of want to add a 4th Venus in, just how good the card is. But I'm not sure what I would want to take out, as well as Valkyrie Ace is something I kind of want to consider as well. There's so many good ways to kind of interact with this deck. But if you guys have any ideas for what change in this deck, please let me know in the comments. I do read them. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.